Yo! JD here, Limitless. And as you can see, we are on something very, very different here today. This is a game called Kartcraft, which one of my members made me aware of recently, and I had no idea that this kind of game existed. It's probably the most realistic karting simulator game that you can play, apparently. And if anyone knows about me, I used to compete in karting for well over 10 years. I competed in the British Championship, also the European Championships, mainly in the road tax category. So if you've seen the trophies around my gaming setup, then all those trophies are accumulated over the years. I competed in karting and did quite well most of the time. And you're about to see my face here. Genk in Belgium is a track that I've actually driven in real life, and we're about to see another track called PFI, which is a track that I used to race at all the time. So to see these in this game is absolutely incredible, and apparently the tracks have been laser scanned as well. It's almost full simulation. Yeah, so I was really looking forward to playing this game here. And the settings I'm using are not even the ultra graphic settings, and you can actually run VR in this game as well, which I'm very interested to do in the future. So please like the video if you like me to explore different racing games, really, because to be quite honest, the F1 series is becoming a little bit dull recently, and I've just been very interested to just try different racing games with different force feedback, especially if the wheel I have, the Podium Direct Drive, I think it's probably much better suited to other racing games. And the online multiplayer has actually, just as I speak now, I didn't realize this at the time, has just been released. So please let me know if you want me to do some multiplayer races on this game. Just let me know in the comments below. So now we are about to head out. This is a X30, which is now the equivalent of what I used to be driving. So I used to be driving exactly these karts, and this is at PFI Trent Valley, as getting our first taste of what the force feedback feels like. This track used to be a bit different when I drove it. I have driven this version as well, but I used to compete on the old version where this corner, you can see if you look to the right where the cones are, that used to be the first corner, not with the bridge and everything, so it has changed quite a lot. So the old classic layout, which I think is still on this game as well. But yeah, let's just see how we go. And my first real feedback from this game is that it's very twitchy, so probably a little bit of adjustment with the force feedback and some settings, but that's how a car is really. At the end of the day, you barely want to be turning. Most of the time, if you watch the onboard of many people kart racing, you'll see they often are barely turning at all, and that is really kind of the aim. But so far, just the level of detail, it's just absolutely insane. And the sound as well, the crowd, how they move, the banners. This is exactly what it's like to drive on this track. And so I just get caught on the grass just a little bit there. I'm actually just completely blown away at how immersive this already feels, and imagine with VR on top of it as well, because I've been to many races at this track. The barriers, the curbs, just even the logos on the barriers and stuff as well, it's just so accurate. It's just, it is absolutely insane. And I got my force feedback quite high here, so it's very forceful, but the car is very twitchy. It likes to be going flat out most of the time. When you're lifting in between the throttle and the brake, that's when the car gets very twitchy. But the sound, yeah, honestly, it's been so good to play something else. F1 just gets quite boring quite quickly, and this is just a whole different experience. So I'm very, very keen to try other games, especially Assetto Corsa, which will be coming very soon. But please let me know if you enjoy this, if you'd like me to try other games as well. I might try Gran Turismo soon on the PlayStation, so I've never tried that, only on PlayStation on the controller back in the day. But yeah, going through here, it's just always feels exactly what it's like to be in a car again. And I will definitely be doing some online races on here, because it feels like you're actually right there. It is just absolutely nuts, and that is the thing I've missed from Formula 1 games. I just don't feel immersed in those games, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think I feel more immersed into... I think F1 2006 was more immersive than the current games. It's just hard to explain, but I think if you played previous games like that, you will probably know what I mean here. So we're just going to try and maybe finish off that. See, giving it the old push like you would do in a normal kart, but coming through into here. Yeah, that was our first taste of PFI, and you're about to see we've even got a drone coming to us as we look up on my screen in absolute amazement. But now we move on to Genk in Belgium, another track that I have actually driven in real life. I competed here in the Rotax Euromax Series, the European Championship for Rotax, and had quite good success when I came around this track, so I know exactly where I'm going. You'll probably notice that my car is very, very slow in a straight line, and that's because there's a few things you can tweak with the setup, and I actually decided to increase my sprocket. And if you know anything about karting, you'll probably know a lot about sprockets. If you increase it, it's going to give you a better top speed, but it's going to give you a much worse acceleration, because there is only one gear. So I kept on using the paddles on my wheel, but there are no gears in karting unless you're in the shifter kart or a KZ1 or KF1 Formula A, something like that. But in these kind of karts, these Rotax karts, there is no gears at all. So sometimes you really have to choose between whether you want acceleration or do you want the top speed. So if you can carry the speed through the corners, then top speed is going to make it very, very difficult to overtake, as we are just absolutely ramming the life out of this guy. And I'm actually just blown away how immersive this game is. It's just absolutely insane. I played some other card games in the past, but they were just very, very arcadey. And this, even the full settings aren't turned up to the maximum. I think this is on like low graphic settings as well, because PC was having a bit of a hard time running this game. So yeah, if you think it looks good now, it's going to look much better in the future as well. But we're going to do our best to try and catch up here, so just getting used to the track a little bit more. I think this is on medium difficulty, this race, so it wasn't particularly high, but just getting used to how the kart feels. And you'll be able to see coming out of the corners, to see again, the hardest thing is just very, very twitchy. So I think there's a lot of things with the setup that I can probably do to change that. And you can see the acceleration is just absolutely not there. So we're probably going to stay on board for another lap. This is a 5-lap race. You can see we make up a lot of time going to the corners, going down the inside. This is the AI, of course. And the AI seemed to be pretty good, actually, in fact, as well. To come through into this hairpin. I think the last time I drove around here was, I'm going to say, over 10 years ago. I think in 2009 or 10 was the last time I drove around here, so such a long time ago. But the track, since it's laser scanned, is exactly the same as I remember it. And even the details, even the level of detailing, like straight ahead of you can see the clubhouse. Yeah, absolutely mind blown how much detail there is in this game. But we're going to go into this last corner now, going down the inside, but I think we're going to retire from this race and try again. This time, hopefully a little bit better of a setup. So we're just going to hit the restart button and go straight back into this. So just giving you a little insight into how the setups work as well. So you got seat positioning, the sprocket teeth, that's what I'm talking about. So higher is going to give you better top speed, but lowering it will increase the acceleration because the sprocket chain has more teeth to go through quicker rather than longer in between. So it works very well. So very, very simple in a car. However, chassis do make quite a big difference. I used to run a... What did I used to run? I used to run a Gillard and an Intrepid chassis. Never went on the Tony Kart, which I think is probably the best overall. And please let me know if anyone else plays this game. Love to actually start getting into some multiplayer races as well. So that's definitely a video I'll be doing in the future. So you can see, lowering the sprocket, made a few other changes, which should be much, much better on the acceleration. So now, here we go. Let's see what we can do. So this is a Fireflap race, and you can see the acceleration much, much better. Bringing back good memories. The sound as well. The sound just sounds exactly like how it was when I was driving. Really is pretty surreal, but coming into here, what on earth is going on into here? Absolute carnage. Coming through to trying to choose the outside, but then we've been caught in someone else's car coming into here. And yeah, in a real race, I probably wouldn't have been laughing there. I probably would have been going absolutely mental in real life and probably would have been out of the race. I think damage is turned off for this race, but the car is much, much more power, well, much more response in terms of the acceleration. So we're going to stay on board for the rest of this race. Let's see how we do. And the difficulty has been turned up to hard, and I think the next stage is legendary. So it's legendary, hard, medium, easy, rookie and stuff like that. So this is the second hardest difficulty. Let's see how the AI respond in this case. So coming through into this turn one, really, really nice turn one here. It's such a wide corner, and this track is probably one of my favorite tracks I ever did drive in a car. It's just absolutely relentless. So I think this is where Max Verstappen did a lot of his karting as well in Belgium. So coming up through into here, going down this back straight, really, really difficult to control it under the brakes here, but to be honest, I was just having so much fun playing this game. It just actually feels like you're driving something rather than the biggest criticism I have of the Formula 1 games. It just, to me, just feels a little bit disconnected, and I think a lot of other people can attest to that as well. It's going through here, leaving some room on the outside. So let's see if we get a good exit coming off this last corner. Got those stands to the left of the track. They are such good detail for here. Coming through into here, turn one, managing to do this actually quite nicely. Quite like the awareness thing you have where you know where the car is behind you. That's a pretty useful thing to have. And going through into here, we've actually been dive bombed down the inside. And that was actually a really, really good move by the AI. So fair play to him there. Let's see if he can follow him through and try and maybe even overtake these two drivers. Coming towards the end, I'm really, really looking forward to actually playing online against actual drivers. So once I sort out my settings, hopefully we can actually do something quite competitive online. Maybe if there was even a league, I would even consider joining that, because it's absolutely epic to have about 20 people in a race around here. So coming off this corner, we've got much better acceleration now, getting to top speed quite quickly, 110 kilometers per hour, so over 70 miles an hour going down that straight. Coming through here, this was pretty much almost flat out when I was racing, so the way you're carrying the speed is very, very similar to what it was in real life as well. Not barely almost flat out, but whoever risked it would pay the rewards going through into there. And yeah, this section is very, very difficult, but a pretty good overtaking opportunity coming up here. So we're just going to ram into the back and try and get a good exit. Being rammed into the back of ourselves. So coming towards the end of lap 3 now. And yeah, the steering is really the thing you have to get used to the most. And all the bumping around with the camera's shaking as well. Definitely need to try this with virtual reality. I think that would be absolutely epic there. So we're actually on the final lap now. My mistake. Coming through into him, ramming into the back of him. Once again, you can see the leaders are about 19 seconds away, so they definitely have some pretty good pace and a big learning curve to do on this game as well. So taking a nice wide line, but getting a super good exit coming off here with that lower sprocket. Was thinking about going down the inside here, so we're going to let him have this corner, but going around the outside to get the inside for the next one. Let's see if we can overtake this guy. Going down the inside, and yes, we do get down the inside. Very nice move in the end. Is he going to try and go down the inside? Yes, he is, but the race winner's already across the line. We're going to go around the outside of him, just trying to hang on to the kart here. And I think we're going to be safe going into this last corner. Probably could be taking a lot more speed coming into here. But crossing a line, that's our first experience of playing Kartcraft. As what is happening here. But I really hope you enjoyed that video. Honestly, that was such a surreal experience. You can see low graphics, that's what happens. People don't have any hands apparently. But I just want to say a quick shout out to some new extra rotation members. Thank you so much for joining us. So thank you to Sven Hartman, Adrian H, Miroslav Andrev, Grobs, Lef Lu, Harry Cox, Dwight Chow, Peace of Mind, Forza Shumi, Joshua, The Hindy, Reggie S, and DGN Yo. Thank you so much for joining the Extra Rotation Club. You'll get many benefits of that with first party access to open lobbies, my updated setups, and get to speak to me on a personal basis, and many more. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Give it a like if you want to see more videos such as this, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.